The Twins take on the Indians, 6:10 p.m. Eastern start time. The Cleveland Indians are minus 145, totals 10. And if you like Minnesota and an upset on the road here, they're plus $1.25 for some money line cash. Now they're also minus 145, catching the 1.5 on the run line. John Gant for Minnesota, Aaron Savali for Cleveland. And following another tough day of premium sports picks on my BrockPage.com website on Monday, September 6th, we still did manage to improve to 2-0 in our last two extra daily picks on that very same webpage. And if you want to access today's extra daily pick, it's only going to cost you just $2.99. We're also hitting at 72% in our last 18 Major League Baseball tier package picks on that very same website as well. And the good news is we have another Major League Baseball tier package pick going off here this evening. We currently have over 725 members who were signed up and active on that page. And if you want to see which one of these free YouTube picks that I'm actually betting on personally, there's only one way to do that, and that's to sign up for a membership on my website. And once again, that's BrockPage.com. Now, Aaron Savali's 10-2 thus far in the year, 3.32 ERA, 1.06 WHIP. The Indians won 5 out of their last 8 ball games, and they find themselves 35-23 straight up in divisional play. They're taking on a Minnesota club who wins just 39% of their divisional road games. This last place Twins club is 17 games below 500, and they also rank in the bottom 3 in runs allowed. John Gant is just 4-6 with a 156 whip. The righties also got just 56 strikeouts compared to a staggering 56 walks. When it comes to the total in this one, 8 out of Minnesota's last 10 ball games fell under the line. Meanwhile, 3 out of Cleveland's last 4 at Progressive Field stayed under the number themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Cleveland Indians, minus 145 and the under 10. Next matchup, Tigers-Pirates, 6:35 East. The Pittsburgh Pirates are minus $1.25, totals 9. No confirmed starter yet for Pittsburgh. Willie Peralta for Detroit. Now, Peralta comes into today's contest with a 3.68 ERA. The Tigers have won 3 out of their last 6. And they're in the top half of the majors in road scoring. They're taking on a last-place Pittsburgh club who has the second fewest wins in the National League. This Pirates lineup also scores fewer runs per contest than any other team in the majors. Now, when it comes to the number in this one, 7 out of Pittsburgh's last 10 outings got over the number. Meanwhile, 3 out of Detroit's last 4 road games got over the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Detroit Tigers plus 105 and the over 9 runs. Next contest, Mets-Marlins, 6:40 East. The New York Mets are minus 170, totals 7.5. Carlos Carrasco for New York, Edward Cabrera for Miami. Now the Marlins have won 2 out of their last 3 ball games, 6-4 straight up in their last 10. Miami currently has a winning record at Lone Depot Park, and their pitchers are in the top 10 in fewest hits allowed at home. As a matter of fact, Miami allows just 3.7 runs a game as the home team. They're taking on a Mets club who averages only 3.8 runs a game for the entire season. New York's won just 12 out of 32 divisional road games, and they're in the bottom 5 in hits on average per game. They also have Carlos Carrasco on the bump, who's yet to get a win in nearly 29 innings of work. The righty's also got himself a 6.59 ERA. Now, when it comes to the scoring in this one, 6 out of New York's last 10 ball games got over the number. They also went 60% to the over in their last 10 meetings with the Marlins. I'm going to lean toward the Miami Marlins plus 1.5 and the over 7.5 runs. Next contest, Yankees-Blue Jays, 7:05 Eastern Standard Time. The New York Yankees are minus 220, totals 8.5. Garrett Cole for New York, Steven Matz for Toronto. Now, Matz has double-digit victories on the year, 3.80 ERA and 116 strikeouts. This Blue Jays lineup is also in the top 3 in scoring. Vlad Guerrero's batting .321 with 40 home runs and 98 RBI. The slugger is also leading the majors with a 1.014 OPS. Now, Toronto's on a 5-game winning streak, 8-1 straight up in their last 9. They're taking on a Yankees club who's on a 3-game losing streak themselves, 2-7 straight up in their last 9. New York has a losing record against the AL East this season. They're also winning just 43% of their divisional home games. When it comes to the total in this one, 3 out of New York's last 4 ball games at Yankee Stadium stayed under the line. They're also 37-24 to the under against the AL East this year. Meanwhile, Toronto's gone 19-9 to the under in their divisional road games themselves. The Blue Jays also went 70% to the under in their last 10 ball games at any location. I'm going to lean toward the Toronto Blue Jays plus 1.5 and the under 8.5 runs. Next contest, Royals O's 7:05 East. The Kansas City Royals are minus $1.15, totals 10. Jackson Kowar for Kansas City. Alex Wells for Baltimore. Wells is just 1-2 with a 7.71 ERA and a 1.93 whip. The last place Orioles have the worst record in Major League Baseball. They also give up more runs per contest than any other team in the majors. They're taking on a Kansas City club who won 3 out of their last 4 and ranks in the top 3 in the league in fewest strikeouts at the plate. Salvi Perez is second in the majors with 41 home runs. He's also leading the Bigs with 103 RBI. When it comes to the total in this one, Baltimore's 33-21 to the over against American League opponents at Camden Yards. I'm going to lean toward the Kansas City Royals minus $1.15 and the over 10. Next matchup, Rays Red Sox, 7:10 p.m. Eastern start time. The Tampa Bay Rays are minus $1.15, totals 9.5. Drew Rasmussen for Tampa Bay. Eduardo Rodriguez for Boston. Rodriguez comes into today's contest with a 4.88 ERA and a 1.36 whip. The Bo Sox are on a 2-game losing streak. They're in the bottom 3 in hits allowed per contest. They're taking on a first-place Rays club who won 7 out of their last 10, and they have the most wins in the American League. The Tampa Bay lineup is also leading the majors in scoring. Brandon Lowe's hit 33 home runs and knocked in 82. The second baseman is 6th in the league in that home run category. Meanwhile, Austin Meadows is 5th in the league with 97 RBI. When it comes to the pitching, Drew Rasmussen has a 3.00 ERA and a 1.08 whip. Now, total-wise, the Rays are 21-9 to the over in their divisional road games. Meanwhile, 3 out of Boston's last 4 home games got over the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Tampa Bay Rays minus $1.15 and the over 9.5. Next contest, Nats Braves, 7:20 Eastern Standard Time. The Atlanta Braves are minus 235, totals 9. Max Fried for Atlanta. Paolo Espino for Washington. Now, Espino's got just 4 wins on the year, along with a 4.08 ERA. The Nationals are 23 games below 500, and they win only 38% of their divisional contests. This Washington pitching staff's also in the bottom 5 in runs allowed. They're taking on a first-place Braves club who's gone 36-28 straight up against the NL East. This Braves lineup is also in the top 10 in home scoring. Austin Riley's batting .305 with 29 home runs and 87 runs batted in. The third baseman's in the top 10 in both batting average and OPS. Meanwhile, Ozzie Albies is 12th in the Bigs with 89 RBI. The second baseman's also hit 26 home runs. When it comes to the pitching for Atlanta, they've got Max Fried on the bump here today. He's 11-7 with a 3.51 ERA and a 1.18 whip. Excuse me. Now, the lefties also struck out 131 batters. And total-wise, Atlanta's 16-10 to the over in their divisional home games. Meanwhile, the Nationals saw 8 out of their last 10 outings get over the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Atlanta Braves minus 1.5 and the over 9 runs. Choking on my spit for no reason. Next game, Phillies, Brewers, 7:40 Eastern start time. Both teams are minus a buck 10, totals 8. Aaron Nola for the Titans, Eric Lauer for Milwaukee. Lauer's got a 3.43 ERA and a 1.22 whip. The first place Brewers are 29 games over 500. They lead the majors in striking batters out at home. And they're taking on a Phillies club who's got a losing road record. And they rank in the bottom half of the league in road scoring. They also have Aaron Nola on the mound here today. 4.54 ERA, along with a 7-7 record. And number-wise, the Phillies saw 7 out of their last 10 outings get over the total. 5-2 to the over in their last 7 on the road. Meanwhile, Milwaukee's seen 3 out of their last 4 home games get over the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Milwaukee Brewers minus a buck 10 in the over 8 runs. Next contest, Reds, Cubs, 740 East. Cincinnati's minus 160, totals 10. Wade Miley for Cincinnati, Adrian Sampson for Chicago. Despite just a handful of innings with Chicago for Sampson, he does come into today's contest with a 1.59 ERA and a 1.06 whip. Chicago is currently on a 7-game winning streak, 18-15 straight up in their divisional contest at Wrigley. The Chicago lineup is also in the top 15 in the majors in home scoring. They're taking on a Cincy club who dropped 7 out of their last 9 ball games, bottom 3 in road walks allowed. As a matter of fact, the Reds are walking 4 batters a game when they travel. And scoring-wise, Cincinnati's last 4 straight on the road stayed under the line. The Reds are also 17-11 of the under in their divisional road games. Meanwhile, the Cubs saw 6 out of their last 10 meetings with Cincinnati stay under the posted total themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Chicago Cubs plus 1.5 in the under 10 runs. Next ball game, Dodgers Cardinals, 7:45 Eastern first pitch. The Dodgers are minus 200, totals 9. No confirmed starter yet for Los Angeles. Jay Happ for St. Louis. Now Happ comes into today's ball game with a 4.30 ERA with the Cardinals, along with a 1.33 whip. The Cards have lost 4 out of their last 5 ball games, and their pitching staff walks more batters per 9 than any other team in the Bigs. They're also dead last in striking batters out as well. They're taking on a Dodger club who's in the top 3 in scoring on average per game on the road. The first baseman's 10th in the league in OPS, 13th in the majors in home runs. Max has hit 30 homers with an OPS of 915. Meanwhile, Justin Turner is batting .279 with 21 home runs and 71 RBI himself. And when it comes to the total on this one, 7 out of Los Angeles' last 10 ball games fell under the total. Meanwhile, St. Louis saw 6 out of their last 10 meetings with the Dodgers stay under the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the LA Dodgers minus 1.5 in the under 9 runs. Next contest, Mariners, Astros, 8:10 p.m. Eastern start time. The Houston Astros are minus 170, numbers 8.5. Jake Odorizzi for Houston, Logan Gilbert for Seattle. Gilbert's coming into today's contest with a 5.14 ERA. Meanwhile, hitting-wise, the Seattle lineup's dead last in the majors in hits on average per contest. They're taking on a first-place Houston club who's the league leader in hits on average per game. Yuli Gurriel is 5th in the league with a .316 batting average. Meanwhile, Yordan Alvarez is 11th in the majors with 90 RBI. And when it comes to the pitching in this one, Houston allows only 3.9 runs a game for the entire year. Jake Odorizzi's fanned 82 batters in just over 89 innings of work. He also has a 1.23 whip. When it comes to the number in this one, 7 out of Houston's last 10 meetings with Seattle got over the total. The Astros are also 17-13 of the over in their divisional home games. Meanwhile, the Mariners went 17-12 to the over in their road contest against the AL West themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Houston Astros minus 170 and the over 8.5. Next ball game, Giants, Rockies, 8:40 Eastern Standard Time. The San Francisco Giants are minus 220, totals 11.5. Logan Webb for San Francisco. Chichi Gonzalez for Colorado. Now, Gonzalez is just 3-6 with a 6.13 ERA, 1.46 WHIP. This Colorado pitching staff strikes out fewer batters at home than any other team in the league. They're also in the bottom 10 in runs allowed per contest. They're taking on a first-place Giants club who won 4 out of their last 5 ball games. The Giants pitching staff leads the majors in fewest walks allowed per 9. They also give up only 3.4 runs a game when they travel. Logan Webb is 8-3 on the season, 2.56 ERA, and a 1.09 WHIP. The righty has also struck out 121 batters. When it comes to the total in this one, 7 out of the Giants' last 10 ball games stayed under the posted number. The Giants are officially 42-28 to the under in all of their road games. Meanwhile, Colorado went 70% to the under in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the San Francisco Giants minus 1.5 and the under 11.5 runs. The next ball game, White Sox A's, 9:40 p.m. East. The Oakland A's are minus 135, totals 9.5. James Caprillion for Oakland, Jimmy Lambert for Chicago. Now Lambert's got just 8 innings of work under his belt for Chicago. He's 0-1 with a 9.00 ERA and a 2.13 WHIP. The White Sox currently have a losing road record, and their lineups in the bottom 10 in the big leagues, and road strikeouts at the plate. They're taking on an Oakland squad who leads the majors in fewest walks allowed per 9 at home. This A's pitching staff is also in the top 10 in fewest runs allowed per game. James Caprillion 7-4 with a 3.87 ERA and a 1.21 WHIP. When it comes to the number in this one, 8 out of Oakland's last 10 ball games with Chicago stayed under the line. Meanwhile, 3 out of Chicago's last 5 road games stayed under the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Oakland A's minus 135 and the under 9.5. Next contest, Rangers D-backs, 9:40 p.m. East. The Arizona Diamondbacks are minus 165, totals 8.5. Zach Gallen for Arizona. Spencer Howard for Texas. Despite a few pretty sloppy starts out of Howard, the righty still struck out 40 batters in just 35 innings pitched with the Rangers. Texas has successfully cashed in on the run line in 7 out of their last 10 ball games, 3-1 against the number in their last 4 on the road. This Texas pitching staff is also in the top 15 in fewest walks allowed per game. They're taking on a last-place D-backs club who has the worst record in the National League. Arizona's lost 8 out of their last 9 ball games, and they're in the bottom 3 in runs allowed per game. The Arizona pitching staff is also giving up nearly double-digit hits a game at Chase Field. Now, starting pitcher Zach Gallen, he's just 2-8 on the season with a 4.34 ERA and a 1.32 WHIP. When it comes to the scoring in this one, 8 out of Arizona's last 10 contests got over the number. 5-1 to the over in their last 6 at home. This D-backs club is also 9-3 to the over in their dozen interleague contests on the season. I'm going to lean toward the Texas Rangers plus 1.5 and the over 8.5 runs. Of that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup. It is going to be Angels versus the Padres, 10:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The San Diego Padres are minus 350, total 7.5. Blake Snell for San Diego, Packy Naughton for Los Angeles. Now, the Angels have won 5 out of their last 8 ball games, top 10 in the majors in hits. Shohei Ohtani's leading the Bigs with 43 home runs. He's also knocked in 93 runners and has an OPS of 962. And they're taking on a Padres club who's in the bottom 10 in home scoring. Now, San Diego's also in the bottom 10 in hits per contest on their home field as well. And when it comes to the pitching, Blake Snell's walked 67 batters and has a 4.31 ERA. Now, the lefty also has a whip of just 1.38. When it comes to the total in this one, the Pods went 60% to the over in their last 10 ball games. Meanwhile, the Angels are 12-6 to the over in their interleague contest this season themselves. I'm going to lean toward the LA Angels plus 1.5 and the over 7.5 runs. Of that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at brockpage.com, where we are hitting at 72% in our last 18 Major League Baseball tier package picks on that site. I like Cleveland minus 145 under 10. Detroit plus 105 over 9. Miami plus 1.5 over 7.5 runs. Toronto plus 1.5 under 8.5. Kansas City minus $1.15 over 10. Tampa Bay minus $1.15 over 9.5. Atlanta minus 1.5 over 9 runs. Milwaukee minus $1.10 over 8. Chicago Cubs plus 1.5 under 10. LA Dodgers minus 1.5 under 9. Houston minus $1.70 over 8.5. San Francisco minus 1.5 under 11.5 runs. Oakland minus $1.35 under 9.5. Texas plus 1.5 over 8.5. And before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we are hitting at 72% in our last 18 Major League Baseball tier package picks on my BrockPage.com website. I'm going to lean toward the LA Angels plus 1.5 and the over 7.5 runs. And with that, guys, now it's time for our shout out of the day. And that goes to Veronica Aguilar, who said yesterday, "Good stuff, man. I made over $1,500 with your picks. You're the best." And I certainly, Veronica, I certainly appreciate you taking the time out to give us the good news. And that's certainly a great score, $1,500. Keep up the good work. And I'm happy to assist. I'm happy to help. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my website at brockpage.com. Now, if you guys do end up getting a membership here today on that website, just keep in mind you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today, you're going to get access to that content all the way through the end of September. I always tell folks the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Tuesday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at brockpage.com.